So I don't know if you recall this. News moves pretty quickly these days. Remember when two hurricanes back to back hit the American Southeast? That was pretty crazy, huh? You know, a good part of North Carolina is still, as I understand it, deeply waterlogged. FEMA went down there right away. Now, the right wing, key to capitalize on any disaster if it benefits them, no matter how monstrous the outcomes of it might be, immediately spread conspiracy theories about FEMA. What wasn't FEMA doing in North Carolina? What weren't they doing? Oh, FEMA's going down there to execute people who saw the flash of light of the weather machine directing Hurricane Helene over to North Carolina and Asheville and such. Oh, FEMA went down there to like kidnap children to sacrifice to Moloch. Oh, FEMA. Guess what FEMA workers have been dealing with since they went down there? Death threats. Apparently, National Guard reported they heard word of two militia groups, bunch of guys with guns in a truck, looking for FEMA workers. North Carolina authorities arrest armed man after threats against FEMA workers. Rutherford County Sheriff's Office confirmed made the arrest Saturday after learning of threat of Federal Emergency Management Agency employees working in hurricane relief. They made an arrest, more than an arrest. They got shooters out there driving around against FEMA aid workers. I mean, it's not really brown shirt shit because this is more like doomsday prepper territory, you know? It's genuinely insane. Threats against federal emergency response personnel have hampered relief work in parts of western North Carolina, hard hit by Hurricane Helene, hard to say quickly, prompting disaster workers to relocate because of safety concerns and feeding a cycle of fear and anxiety. FEMA has been having to evacuate. They have been hampered in their efforts to rescue people and rebuild these communities because right-wing disinfo mongering has led a bunch of armed lunatics out in the hills to believe that FEMA is out there stealing children to sacrifice to Moloch. They've been running around out there with AR-15s making threats and presumably with the intention of acting on them. FEMA workers are being aided out there by National Guard, so they're not just like, you know, on their own. And that's probably the only reason they haven't been killed. Isn't that insane? Armed militia hunting FEMA causes hurricane responders to evacuate. Told to evacuate on Saturday over concerns that an armed militia was threatening workers in the area. Another good example of conspiracy theories actively threatening the conspiracists' own lives. I mean, to an extent, yeah, I imagine a lot of the people in this area are probably bought in on the right-wing bullshit themselves. Republicans are often the greatest victims of Republican policy. I know it may not always seem that way, but like, if you're a queer person living in Seattle or LA or something, I'm not saying you're not threatened by Republican policy. You absolutely are. But I'd be willing to bet that on the long term, yeah, like a family in like Idaho who has been barely able to make ends meet for decades now has probably been hurt more in the long run by like Republican economic policy, you know? I'm not saying there aren't poor queer people in Western Idaho. I'm only saying that like this shit runs deep, you know? Literally, what's the point of doing this to FEMA? They think that FEMA is out there being evil. They bought in on the conspiracy. They think that FEMA is out there like... The FEMA conspiracism runs deep. This has been around for a long time. Yeah, but what are they doing? FEMA? Well, helping rebuild and rescue and stuff. FEMA's one of the original conspiracies, right? Not original, but like it goes back for quite a while. After Katrina, there were a bunch of conspiracy theories about FEMA operating like detention centers in the rescue camps. I remember that was a big right-wing talking point. The idea that they're like tent cities that they were building were like where you went to die. Yeah, the FEMA death camps. That's been around for a while. You know? Thank you. FEMA camps conspiracy theories. The FEMA camps conspiracy theory is a belief, particularly within the American Patriot movement, that the United States FEMA is planning to imprison U.S. citizens in concentration camps following the imposition of martial law in the U.S. Blah, 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 blah. It's all the same slop. It all builds into itself. It's all an Ouroboros of misinformation. Didn't Alex Jones start the FEMA camps conspiracy? He didn't start it. He was a big part of it, though. Yeah. Complete projection from them, by the way. Oh, yeah. One hundo. National Guard troops had come across two trucks of armed militia saying they were out hunting FEMA. I know there are limits here, But I feel like if you're in the National Guard and you encounter people saying that, you should, like, I don't know, hit them with a brick. Like, you're in the National Guard and people are like, yeah, we're out here hunting federal aid workers. They probably think, because in their mind, they're like, okay, FEMA is evil, but the National Guard is military, and military is good. FEMA is the one that's going to do the martial law. The military would never impose martial law during a crisis. That's not what militaries do. Personnel were moved to a safe area, and some of the work in the area was paused. Sheesh. A rumor spread that the devastated town of Chimney Rock was going to be seized and bulldozed by the government. Arrest the terrorists now. I have to say, I really dislike the fact that they're being referred to as militias. They are objectively domestic terrorists. Like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. Very straightforwardly. Like, with it's straight, yeah. FEMA, workers are civilians. Yeah, send their asses to Guantanamo. That's what I'm saying. Because news was cucked for so long on militias. Well, terrorists are what you call the brown people. You know, you don't want to call white people terrorists. That might open up uncomfortable questions about our relationship to terrorism and what the word means. Do you have to arrest them? I think you should. I think that's fine. Like, just under reasonable law, you encounter a bunch of people in a truck with guns and they're like, yep, we're hunting federal workers. Okay, that's a death threat. That's more than reasonable cause for arrest in any legal, like, that's, we're not twisting the definitions here. Like, you try that with your local cop. Give them an excuse like that when they ask you what you're up and about doing. Don't actually do this. That was a joke. You're doing like a 65 in a 60 zone in the highway. They pull you over. What are you doing today? And you're like, I'm glad you asked, officer. Just so you know, I have firearms in the car. I'm actually out here hunting female. You're going to jail. I'm hunting U.S. postal workers. Oh, that's fine. Yeah, no, that's fine. Yeah. No worries. Right-wingers get away with so much violence. It's insane. Yeah, no, they really do. Yeah, 100%. The amount of stochastic violence, like, at the FBI, you have the FBI trying to, like, psyop 16-year-old Muslim boys in New York City. They spend $47 million on a project where every day they, like, pass by him on the street when he's heading to the mosque, and they're like, hey, you want to do some terrorism? And trying to, like, subliminal message him into doing a terror attack to, like, test the limits of how susceptible domestic Muslim populations are to terror. And meanwhile, like, for the entire existence of the internet, there has been multiple forums where there are white neo-Nazis going like, yep, can't wait to just do it. Gonna do Day of the Rope. Just gonna kill them all, you know? And it's like, and what does the FBI do over there? Mostly watch it and jerk off, I think. Like, federal agents infiltrate those spaces. What do they actually do about it, you know? I hire a dude to break in and whisper as he sleeps. Yeah. They're doing, like, Charles Xavier, like, Mind Palace, connect to the psyche of all humans alive, implant terroristic thoughts into the brain of every Muslim in America to determine the susceptibility of the group to subliminal influence. It cost 1/3 of the Pentagon's budget, and they didn't get anything.